Well, hello there. This is Virtuals the Chess Noob, learning and having fun with chess. Now, myself and one of my subscribers, my Kiwi friend, have been playing quite a few games of the Vienna Gambit and the Vienna game in general, learning some of the Vienna Gambit lines. And they recently challenged me to another game where they played white, and this was a really interesting game where basically they used my tactics against them, but in the end I managed to persevere. Let's go take a look. So I've got the white pieces, so they led with e4, e5, knight c3, the Vienna game. And of course, what do I do against the Vienna? Well, what I do is I play the Folkbier because I want to have white initiate the Vienna Gambit, because if you know what you're doing, you get an advantage. So knight f6, baiting the Vienna Gambit. They play f4, the Vienna Gambit, and now we enter the main line. And I've made a number of videos on the main line. The main line is good for black. Now they play the natural transformation, captures, and now they play queen f3, the Paulson attack. The Paulson attack is basically one of white's best approaches against the main line, practically almost an anti-main line. But against the anti-main line, I've made a video on the Liberating variation, f5, an anti-Paulson attack. Now against this position, the best move for white actually is d3. But as per my recent video about the anti-Liberating variation, it is d4, the Heyde variation. And as we reach this position, I had a strong sort of sense and recollection from the Harry Potter books and film, The Half-Blood Prince, where Professor Snape says, you dare to use my own spells against me. And definitely, I had the sense here that my subscriber with white was using my tricks against myself. Now here, bishop e7. The idea is to try to castle quickly. They develop a piece. I castle. They develop another piece. I now here develop a knight. The other options here is knight to a6 or maybe c6, trying to form a chain. And now they long castle and we enter the middle game. Now here, black is technically ahead according to the engine. However, one of the things with the Heyde variation is that it's not obvious how black can proceed, while the moves for white are a little bit more straightforward. And we now actually see how effective the Heyde variation is. So I think here it's about minus 0.7, but this is the end of my theoretical knowledge about this position, and I immediately actually play a mistake. Bishop to g5, potentially offering, trying to get a trade, because if they trade, I'll get an attack on the queen. However, that's a mistake, and it's a plus 1.4 mistake. The best move is actually b5, which isn't at all obvious. Now, I know this now, but this is one of the powers of the Heyde variation, because if you were playing white, basically you're plus 1.4, you've won the opening, basically. Now, they moved their king out of the way, which was fine. Here, I was playing on my phone. I think it was out, so I decided to move my queen to e7, thinking, maybe setting up a potential attack. And pretty much immediately after I made the move, I realized I had made a mistake. So knight captures a pawn on d5 with an attack on the queen, and simultaneously also potential attack on c7 as well. And in this position, I knew I was probably losing, and that is in fact the case. It's plus 4 actually in this position. And so I now here decide to employ the tactics I used in the recent video, the chaos tactics. And the idea with the chaos tactics is to play really aggressively, try to create complications and create tactical resources, all the while trying to follow a particular strategic idea. Now, my strategic idea here is obviously with opposite side castled, so I want to attack white's king, and I want to potentially nuke the A pawn here, open up that file, and potentially have an attack. Because with my knight on E4, which is fairly well defended here, the king potentially cannot escape to the D2 square. So let's see what happens. So here, rather than bringing my queen back to D8, I decide to move forward. So here, I am baiting white to capture my pawn. Let's go. That looks like an obvious move. It looks like a good move because, they get a fork of the queen and rook. So I expected them to take. They took. Queen slides back to F7, still with an eye on that A2 pawn. So I expect them to, go on a merry chase. Yep, they capture my rook. That's fine. I now advance my knight forward. Now there's a mate in one attack. So what is white going to do? They play the best move, which is queen to B3, attacking the knight. Sacrifice for, for advantage, for, the advantage in the position. So here, bishop to E6. Stockfish hates all these moves. They want the trade of queens. But if I trade queens, I've got no attack. So here, what is white going to do? They're going to take. I'm going to sacrifice that knight to have that attack on the A2 pawn. So they take, as expected, and I take the A2 pawn, punching a hole along the A file. So they move their king out of the way with check. And remember, the king is now potentially stuck. No escape squares. So what do I do next? Well, bring my bishop back, attack the queen. The queen's going to look at that pawn and go, look, it looks like that pawn is hanging. I'm going to take it. And they take. That is their best move. That's fine. That's fine. Because now I bring my bishop back, attacking the queen, attacking the knight. Looks like, they're going to have to move the queen. And what have they got? Another hanging piece.
It's a trap!
Queen takes the pawn. But that last capture was a poisoned pawn. Blunder. In fact, we're now back to 0, 0, 0. But, with that whole sequence, it's so hard to see, right? Why is that a blunder? King has no escape squares. Rook here defended by the bishop. So if they move their queen, that is mate. So their queen is trapped. Rook captures knight on A8. And here, my opponent, my subscriber, opted to resign.
Second center!
You dare use my own spells against me, Potter?
Now, they could trade their queen for my rook because basically I am down 8 points of material. And actually with that trade, it's just 0, 0, 0. But here, material, with that, even with that material advantage, it's emotional damage. A good game. GG. The big takeaway from this game is to try the chaos style of sacrificial attacking chess. It is surprisingly effective at the beginner intermediate level. I hope you enjoyed this video and thanks for watching.